Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Now today I've got two PCs. Now this one is pretty familiar to all of you. This is my Lenovo M73. It's probably the third most popular, it's in the third most popular YouTube video I think. But I've got an extra one today. This is my mate Luke's. I'll put his channel in the cards right now. His channel's called Luke's Exploration. But anyway, this is Luke's computer. He's having a few issues with it. So I thought I'd make a troubleshooting video about it. But anyway, until then, let's roll the intro. Everyone, so the computer's in decent nick. It's fairly clean, it's a bit dusty, but anyway, so what we get is we get fans spinning really loudly and no display. I'll show you right now. So obviously that doesn't sound right. We'll just wait a bit and show you that there's no display coming up. Alright, it's pretty safe to say that our display is not going to come up. So, once we shut this down, we'll talk to you about what we can do. Now, first of all, you need to make sure that you actually have spare parts. Now, I've got the Lenovo M73 here, right here. So, we can test them and we can figure out what we need to fix his computer. But anyway, let's go. Alright everyone, so it's pretty easy to start troubleshooting. All you need to do is start disassembling, so we can take this off, and there we go. Or disassembling until you can access the parts. So it's pretty simple to troubleshoot. Of course we've got this SSD laying here. It's alright though, we'll just leave it here for testing, then we'll screw it in after. But the first thing you can have a look at is RAM. But before you do that, make sure all your cables are connected in the right spots. So what you can do, go ahead and look at your actual M73, if you have one around, and then you can find out if the connectors are in right. The black connector is here and the white one's up here, so that's a pass. Next, it's a good idea to check out RAM. Now the first thing you can do is take out one of the RAM sticks. Now, this will determine if your RAM is faulty, both of them, or just one. That means you don't have to swap them both, and it's just so much easier. Alright, so once you do that, you can leave it disassembled, but you can power it up a bit, plug it in, turn it on. Alright, so we're still getting a pretty fast fan. Now, that's kind of to be expected because it usually wouldn't be that simple. But anyway, we can shut it off and then have a look at the other RAM stick. So all you have to do, take the other RAM stick out like this. A little bit hard sometimes with these low form factor computers. Just take the light away for a sec, it's a bit annoying. Alright, then you can chuck your RAM stick in again. Simple as that. Alrighty, then you just have to go ahead and plug it back in and turn it on. Alright, so that's actually quite nice, that breeze. Alrighty, so I don't think this has ended up fixing it. Now this could mean something else is wrong, or it could also mean that both the RAM sticks are faulty. So before you forget about RAM, it's always good to change your RAM sticks completely. And since I have some on hand, that'll be fine. Alright, so with your new RAM sticks installed, or RAM stick installed, it's time to have a look. Alrighty, so it looks like we're getting the same problem. Now, it's time to dig a little deeper than this. It's time to look at something like the power supply or the CPU, and then if it all fails, we'll try a different motherboard. But first, let's try the power supply. Luckily with this, you don't actually need to remove the power supply from the M73 you're testing. You just have to plug all the power supply cords into the motherboard and disconnect them from the case. That's so if the power supply isn't dead, that means you don't have to reinstall it. So let's just do a time lapse on uninstalling that and putting it, setting it up here. I'll help you set it up though. Alright, now that we got the power supply out, it's time to fit them to the new case. Now, obviously, if you are working with a normal power supply, it's going to have more connectors, but I thought I'd help you anyway. Alright, so the first thing you have to do is unplug all the old connectors. So, like this one here, place that hasn't got the cone that I struggle with working around in this one at the moment. I think it's still at Luke's house, not here. But once you finally get it out like this, you can move on to this. Actually, no, you don't have to bother with that one, that's SATA. You can move on to this one. And for this computer, you're all disconnected. Now all you have to do is plug in your big normally for normal computers 24 pin, but in this case it's smaller. But just giving you an example there, just make sure it clicks. There we go. And your little 4 pin instead of 6 pin connector. Alright, now it is time to test it. So all you have to do, plug it in here and then turn it on, see what happens. Alright, so we are getting loud fans, but that can also mean a faulty fan. So let's just put it over here. Let's display, see if it turns on. So obviously, it looks like we're getting no signal. Alrighty guys, so this obviously means that it's something quite deep into the PC. Now this might actually give him a good opportunity to upgrade some of his components. But this is what I mean. It's a good thing that we didn't take the power supply out for this reason, because it wouldn't have turned on properly anyway. So all you have to do, disconnect all your cables again, plug them into the normal power supply because we've determined that it works, and then you have to start testing deeper. But first we'll just get these out, set it aside, just re-plug in your power, CPU power, and just more normal power, and we have to start digging deeper. So before we do anything else, I'm going to start with the CPU because it's less deep in the system than the motherboard. So let's just get it ready for disassembly. Alright, so disassembling this PC is pretty easy. Same with taking the cooler off. It's pretty similar to AMD ones, but it might be different for you. This is another thing that's different to every computer, the CPU cooler, unless you got the same exact computer with the same exact cooler. But it's pretty simple. First, all you have to do is take the CPU fan cable out so it doesn't snag when you take it off. Then all you have to do, take these screws off in a diagonal ways, like in cross pattern, like you'd put it on. Now we have to have a look at the CPU. The thermal paste will be dry. I don't have any on me now, but Luke will probably buy some. 1 day for it if it's fixed. And we just need to take off this one for the last screw. Alright, now here's your CPU cooler. Just place that aside for now. Let's have a look at the CPU. Now, I think that's just dust on the heat sink or the heat spreader. But we can take the CPU retention bracket. No, I'm not the verge. Bracket out. And then we can have a look at the CPU. Now, it is in the right spot. And the pins look good. So it shouldn't be anything to do with the motherboard yet. But I've just figured something out. It's gonna be the CPU that's the problem. And you'll see why. Alright, I'm gonna get the light up. Let's have a look at this CPU. Alright, looks alright from the front, doesn't it? Yeah. She's bent. Alright, now that is not a good sign at all. Now, I won't teach you how to do the motherboard because it's pretty simple. All you have to do, take all the components off, take the motherboard out, put the new one in, put all the components back on, test it, there we go. But I highly doubt it's going to be anything else. But look at this CPU, this is stuffed. Now, I am going to get the CPU out of my think center and we're going to have a look. Alrighty guys, let's have a look. Alright, so all you have to do, installing a CPU is pretty simple. All you have to do is drop it in. Now you have to make sure the arrow or the arrow lines up with the board. So if you put that down, the arrow is there. So you just have to get the arrow there. Neatly drop it in once it's low enough. And make sure it's firm. Now all you have to do, put the retention plate back down if yours has one. And then push it back in. Then you have to get your CPU cooler. Line it up with the holes behind the motherboard. Then you just have to screw it in a cross pattern. Alright everyone, so it's about to see if it works now. Let's have a look. Yep, immediately a good sign. There we go. Alright, so of course it was the CPU. We can have a look at trying to fix it, but I think it's long gone. I'll keep you updated in this and we'll have a look. But anyway, let's just fix this screen quickly. I think it's just because the fan is failed. But they seem to both be working, so I think all you have to do is first connect the keyboard. I think all you have to do is first connect the keyboard, press F2, and resume. But anyway, thanks for watching. I'm glad to help you out if I did. But anyway, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe to How to Fix Your Tech, and I'll see you in another video.